You know what question I keep hearing from business owners everywhere? How do we actually make AI work for us? And look, I get it. The possibilities are endless, but guessing is way too risky when it comes to your business operations. Here's the thing. Sitting on the sidelines isn't an option either, because one thing is almost certain. Your competitors aren't waiting around. They're already making their move. No more waiting. With NetSuite by Oracle, you can put AI to work today with confidence. NetSuite is the #1 AI cloud ERP, and it's trusted by over 43,000 businesses. What makes it powerful is that it's a unified suite. It brings your financials, inventory, commerce, HR, and CRM all together in a single source of truth. That connected data is the key. That's what makes your AI actually smart. Instead of guessing, it knows what's happening in your business. It intelligently automates your routine tasks, delivers actionable insights, and helps you cut costs while making fast AI-powered decisions with real confidence. And here's the part that really stands out. You've got total flexibility. With NetSuite AI Connector, you can use the AI of your choice and connect it to your actual business data. You can ask every question you've ever had. Who are my key customers? What's my cash on hand right now? What are my inventory trends looking like? Plus, you can automate all those tiresome manual processes that nobody wants to deal with. Let's see your competitors do that. This isn't yet another tool that you're trying to bolt onto your existing systems. This is an AI built into the system that actually runs your business from the ground up. Whether your company earns millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite helps you stay ahead of the pack. If your revenues are at least in the seven figures, get our free business guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/SPI. The guide is free to you at netsuite.com/SPI, netsuite.com/SPI. Is your business taking off? Well, now's the time to act fast and hire help, but it can't just be anyone. Find the person who gets your brand and has the skills that matter on Indeed. No more struggling to get your listing noticed on other sites. With Indeed Sponsored Jobs, your post stands out and attracts the right candidates fast, and it really works. Sponsored jobs are 90% more likely to result in a hire, so this is truly the best way to reach top talent. That's how I do it if I were looking for anybody from podcast editors to community experts. Background matters, and Indeed allows me to narrow my search to people with the right experience and know-how. Possible candidates with years of experience on shows just like this one. And here's the thing with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. I get people who actually fit my requirements. No more digging through resumes. Plus, you only pay for results on Indeed. No monthly subscriptions, just a boost when you need to hire fast. So spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. Now with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/SmartPassive. Just go to Indeed.com/SmartPassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/SmartPassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed.
If you know enough about branding, you probably wouldn't go to AI to make your logo because it's not going to stand the test of time. And most importantly, most of them, you can't trademark because it's all open source. You can't trademark it because you've used an AI platform to do it. And that's a real issue for people. So you need to come to an actual designer to get it done. So I'm using social media to show the behind the scenes and to show the process of how it's done to add value to it. But I've had a couple of case study videos hit more than 1 million views, and just from telling the behind the scenes of how this is done. And they're also the biggest lead generators for my business, which is a huge, huge bonus. Every time I'm putting my content out there, I'm framing it in hey, designers, this is how it's done. But my secret audience is the clients watching. I'm like, this is what it's going to be like for you if you work with me. So there's a 2-part audience there. And actually, even now, people are starting to come to me for those case studies because it's free PR at the end of the project. They're actually getting to push their company out there.
If I were to ask you, what do you think the trend is for people who are designers? They design logos, they do client work in this world of AI. What would you say? Well, for the most part, it is true that they are struggling, but not this guy. James Barnard is a logo designer who is thriving in this space. And he's going to reveal exactly how he's doing that using social media, using storytelling. And he also reveals for us his exact strategy for creating content, and not only creating content, but getting people who watch and discover his content to come and become clients or join his membership. He spills the beans for us. This is James Barnard. You can find him at barnard.co and on social media as well, Barnard Co. And halfway through this interview, I discovered that I actually watched one of his viral videos and I didn't even know. And then he proceeds to say exactly how he scripted it, came up with the idea, what happened as a result of that. He also tells us his exact business model. James is this is an absolute goated, greatest of all time type of interview. So make sure you pay attention. Here we go, James Barnard. Hey, James, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for staying up late so that we can accommodate this huge time zone difference that we're going through right now.
It is definitely a huge time zone difference, but I am hugely excited about this because in the short time that I've really dove into your community and especially your socials, I've been very impressed, I have to say. Congratulations on your success. And you are, correct me if I'm wrong, originally a logo designer and you've been helping other designers navigate that world. How did you get started with that?
Yeah, well, originally, I still am a logo designer. I use the social media to funnel people into my many businesses. No, I'm kidding. I basically have a logo design studio. I operate out of the Gold Coast, Australia, but I'm originally from the UK, so I got my start in the publishing industry as a designer in the UK, and a few years back, niched down into logo design, and then eventually found my footing online on the socials and started using it to really generate leads for my business. It's really worked. It took a while to kind of get used to it. And obviously, like a lot of people on social media, just had a bit of a explosive moment on TikTok where one video went viral and changed the nature of how I kind of do business. But yeah, I'm an OG designer. I've been doing this for like 15 plus years. And I think that's kind of helped with the socials, is that I've got a lot of experience that I can share a lot with my community. So that's what the aim is these days.
I love it. I'm excited to dive into what that video was, your strategy, how you pull people from social to your community and all that stuff. But I do have to say, you've been doing this for 15 years. The design world has completely changed. We are all immersed in AI slop right now. I have seen you address this on socials, but what's your strategy as a logo designer? Something that some people would say is very easy to do now because you can just plug and play into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever and get something back in a minute. How do you stay in front of that and encourage your clients to work with real people instead of AI? How do you answer that?
Well, you're absolutely right in the perception is that AI can do it and it's very easy. But when you actually try and use it and get a decent result from it, you'd be surprised at how tricky it is. It depends on the level that you're at. And it's one of the first things that people say to me when I tell them what I do is like, oh, isn't AI doing everything these days? And that's kind of frustrating to hear. But at the same time, you know, us designers that aren't using AI because it kind of isn't, you know, good enough to do it yet. Our job now is to show the process, to show that we're actually not using AI in this creative phase and to show the behind the scenes of how this is working. And this is where the social media is like come in. When I do case studies now, it's all about telling a story about how we got to that final point. And yeah, I guess it's just a case of like how far along you are in your business, how serious you are when you want to get started. If you know enough about branding and you know enough about what it takes to start a company, you probably wouldn't go to AI to make your logo because it's not going to stand the test of time. And most importantly, most of them, you can't trademark because it's all open source. So when someone wants to go to trademark your design, you can't trademark it because you've used an AI platform to do it. And that's a real issue for people. So you need to come to an actual designer to get it done. So yeah, there are assistive tools out there that do help with the kind of speeding up in design, but actually the generative stuff, just not so much. So I'm using social media to show the behind the scenes and to show the process of how it's done to kind of add value to it.
I love that. In my experience, at least online, I've seen a lot of pushback against AI when it is obvious that something was used for AI, whether it's a image or a logo or something. An audience is pretty keen to still understand that that's not real. And I love how you're using social media to tell the story behind that. More technically, what does that mean? What does that look like to tell the story of a logo?
So usually with a case study, you know, it used to be a case of you would post a few images to Instagram, like 5 or 6 images to a carousel saying, look how cool this logo project is that I just did. And everybody check this work out. And it would just bomb. Nobody cares. Until I started sort of framing case studies with a kind of, you know, a bit of a story arc to them to make people more engaged with that content. And that can be in a number of forms. The most popular way is just to kind of show what the client that the problem had and then show how I solved that problem and show the rounds of amends that we did along the way. And, you know, the feedback that the client gave, sometimes it's negative feedback and you got to roll with those punches and come up with something good. But I've had a couple of case study videos like hit more than like 1 million views and just from telling the behind the scenes of how this is done. And it's kind of like voyeurism in a way. People, A, want to hang around to see the end result, and B, they want to find out like what it's like to work in this industry and what it's like to run your own sort of creative business from home. So yeah, those case study videos are hugely powerful, and they're also the biggest lead generators for my business, which is a huge bonus.
Do you have a source for those case studies? Are they just clients of yours that you ask permission to use, or where are you finding these?
Exactly, yeah. So anytime I've got a client come on board now, in my terms of service, I'm like, please, can I use this as a project case study at the end of the project? And actually, even now, people are starting to come to me for those case studies because it's kind of free PR at the end of the project. They're actually getting to push their company out there. Whenever I do put something on my portfolio, for instance, that was kind of like a given that you would put images of the work on your portfolio. Now I just go a step further and I make a video about it. It's really great to have like a behind the scenes bit of content when you're trying to show new clients that are coming on board how the process might work for them, because clients are out there. They're all watching on social media. It's not just other designers that I'm serving for. It's actually hidden clients that are watching as well. So I'm kind of, every time I'm putting my content out there, I'm framing it in like, hey designers, this is how it's done. But my secret audience is the clients watching. I'm like, this is what it's going to be like for you if you work with me. So there's like a two-part audience there. And I'm always thinking about those clients whenever I do anything online. All the work is my own. And I'm making sure that I'm framing it so that when the clients are watching, they can get in touch with me really easily.
I love that. It almost gives people a glimpse of what it's actually like to work with you.
Yeah.
And if they like your personality, then they kind of already seen your resume in real time and what it might be like to experience that. And what I love about your videos that I've seen is you bring your personality into this. There's like a very clear, kind of witty, and then like the reactions you have are really humorous. Was it always like that? How did you inject your personal self into your videos? Was that easy from the start?
Sort of. I wasn't very comfortable on camera when I first got doing it. So there's a lot of script writing involved. And I'm lucky enough. I think I'm a decent enough writer. So I definitely write a script for my videos. I still do. Even when they appear like they're off the cuff, I've written a script and I'm recording it, one line at a time to the camera and cutting those clips together. It's just being self-deprecating. It's a way to kind of like loosen the audience a little bit, soften their resolve a little bit when they're watching a video. And also it comes with being like 40 plus now. You're giving less and less of a toss what people think about you.
When I hit 40, I stopped caring about what anybody
totally
say. I don't know what this is about 40.
I think that's it. Just there's a bit of confidence there when you stop caring so much about what people think. You can kind of chill out a bit and get a bit looser with it. And I just do goofy faces and funny stuff all the time. And I make fun of myself constantly and people seem to like it. So I'm going to keep doing it.
There was one video I saw where you were kind of commenting on an AI version of a logo on a soccer jersey, right? Like a wrinkled soccer jersey, having the AI sort of place it on a wrinkled jersey in action. And it kind of made it look nice, but the words were spelled wrong and all this stuff. And like just your reactions to like, were really funny. And then when you started playing with, I think it was Photoshop to do it in your way, which again shows that you know what you're doing to everybody else. And then it looks perfect in the end. It almost looks like magic, but then like, every step, it went back to your face in between, and you're like, oh yeah, this is where we're going. Like,
getting a little bit saucy with Photoshop.
Right. I just love that. It was really, like in 60 seconds, I got to know you from just, you didn't even say any words. You just kind of were showing us how a designer would approach it. I love that.
It's interesting when you mix the content up like that. Sometimes I will talk on camera when something's a bit more complicated, like a case study, and I've got to kind of explain something. But the videos that really pop off are the ones where there's no language barrier involved and everything's like timed to some sort of banger of a track. And obviously there's a lot of anti-AI sentiment out there right now. People are kind of looking for human creativity and looking to see the behind the scenes that people are actually still doing this. And I made that video basically as a kind of like, God, I miss Photoshop. I miss doing it the old way. And that resonated with a lot of people. I only posted that one yesterday and it's at like 300,000 views on Instagram already, which is good. And like, there's clearly, I've hit on a nerve there. I think people are kind of, there was that great example where Apple used OG authentic tech to bring their logo to life, and they animated the screen turning, and now that's like the start of all of their Apple TV shows. Is like was a piece of creativity that was done in person, and no AI was involved. And then you see people like Coca-Cola making their Christmas adverts using nothing but prompts, and there's a huge backlash to it. There really is like an anti-AI movement out there right now. So if you can prove that you're still doing it the old way and you're still, showing up as a human to do this, then I think there's something to that. And I think people will really resonate with that.
I've heard this discussed before about when building a brand, finding like a common enemy, sort of like a villain that we can kind of all get behind. And in a way, AI has become the villain that you're kind of showing up and trying to defeat. And I love that. Now, that's not in every video, but I think that I've seen enough of your stuff to see that is a common theme, and those videos seem to do really well. I think it's a wise thing to see what the sort of consensus is out there in the world and see how you might be able to lend your voice to that one way or another. So a video pops off, it does really well. Some creators will just be like, yay, I got a lot of views and maybe made a few cents here and there. But how do you take that to the next level? How do you begin to use that as the start of a relationship with those viewers, or at least some of those viewers?
Well, the first part is having a great funnel in place so that when anybody, does come to your account and you've got a good link in bio offering and your website's there and everything's all set up. Look, the main reason for me doing this is to bring people to my business. And that's always been the game. Like, yes, having a lot of followers is cool and it's kind of like a bit of social proof. And when people come to your account, maybe you get taken a bit more seriously because you can see a lot of people want to know what I've got to say. But at the end of the day, followers doesn't lead to a bank balance, right? And I need to provide for my family. I've got 2 young children over here and I need to, make those ends meet. And the way I do that is to bring people in a way where yes, you can get something free for me in terms of a bit of value and a bit of educational content. But if you want something further, I'm making it as easy as possible for you to get in touch with me. All my ducks are in a row on my website. My website's set up pretty well. I've got a few other offerings as well. For if you're a designer, I've got like a community that you can join and courses and that kind of thing. And if you're a client and you want to work with me, here's how you do that. So, the website's okay. I'm in the process of like rebranding myself right now, which is tough, but also an opportunity as well. I can actually, do behind the scenes of how I do a logo process for myself and treat myself like a client and share that online. So I'm halfway through a video series of me doing that. And then I'll update the website eventually and, try and refine this offering a little bit and make it look a little bit cleaner. But yeah, trying to bring people on board is just all from providing as much value as possible on socials. And then hopefully those clients that are watching, you just make it as easy as possible for them to reach out to you.
Do you offer a call to action in those videos, like click on the link in the bio, or do you say anything specific to help with that?
So with case studies, yeah, definitely. So if you want to see more images from the project, hit the link in my bio to go to the case study on the website. And then once they're on the website, now I've got them, I'm trying to get them in touch. Also, I use tools like ManyChat. If there's something like an offering, comment the word, whatever, to get a link from me, that kind of thing.
Do you find that to work well?
Sometimes yes, sometimes not. It definitely doesn't add to like the engagement, but in terms of links, my financial pie chart has changed a bit over the last 5 years. I have a few other little irons to the fire, and one of those is affiliate marketing. So occasionally I'll be a speaker on some kind of conference or an event, and I'll get a certain cut of sales for tickets, and that's a great way to do it. If I can make a piece of video content, push people that way, and then once the link is in their inbox rather than just a link in bio, those do a lot better. So I found that really works. Like there's a summit on this week. They work on the whole business model is on affiliate sales. And so doing a comment to DM call to action works so well for something like that.
Yeah, I leave a comment, you send me a DM, and you're sending me whatever free thing that you have or a link to the product. Specifically, what am I seeing in my DM after I comment that?
So it's usually a link, yeah. So that's the point is like if you go click the link in my bio and they watch the video, they might forget about it later on. But once it's in a DM, it's in their inbox, right? So they can always come back to it later on. And I think that's more powerful than you think for those people that just happen to be sort of glancing by. They've actually got that link somewhere that they can click it later on. So yeah, it depends on what it is. It might be a link to my community. It might be a link to some kind of event or something like that. But definitely having it in people's inbox is way more powerful. It just provides a little bit more of a, they can come back to it later if they were watching somewhere that isn't quite convenient to click on a link.
Now, when people come to your website, for example, click a link on the bio, they go to the website, they read the case study, they're getting excited, they want to work with you. How are you getting them to get in contact with you? Are you selling just packages of various things right up front, or are you trying to get on a call with them? What's that sales process like for you?
I've tried this a few ways. A friend of ours, Josh Hall, has given me some advice on this. So I've tried it a few ways. I'll be completely transparent, I almost lost my business a few years back because I put my prices on my website and tried to package things up and get people to sort of look at a priced offering. And it really didn't work. The leads just dried up completely. I found that my pricing structure is totally dependent on who the client is. It's about value of return rather than how long it takes me to do something. The only way we can discuss that is by having a conversation. So I might do something like reply with some kind of floor price so that we're not wasting anybody's time. If they can't afford to work with me, we may as well have that conversation up front. But I do feel like that lead needs to come in first before we have that conversation. And that's just the case of when you click on a button on my site, it goes through a very clever CRM platform that I have called Bloom, and it's all automated to the extent that comes into my inbox. It's all put into a client management portal, and I can manage those leads kind of one-on-one from there. And I do like to do it myself, actually reply to the inbox. If a very promising lead comes in, I want to do a much more personalized response and really kind of amp up that kind of client interaction. But yeah, no one will come to that had I not had the sort of social media content there in the first place. And I think it's something like, like 85% of my leads now come from socials. It's insane. So I've just got to kind of keep this hype train going.
You know that moment when you look up from your desk and realize you just spent 3 hours on paperwork instead of actually building your business? That used to happen to me all the time. I'd be buried in tax forms, onboarding documents, trying to figure out payroll calculations, and all that repetitive admin work ate up my day. And I kept thinking, there has to be an easier way to do this. Turns out there is. That's why we use Gusto at SPI. Gusto is online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. It's all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use. So you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. Here's what saved me the most time and headaches. Automatic payroll tax filing. No more guessing. No more late-night panic about whether I did it right. Gusto handles it. Simple, direct deposits, health benefits, 401k options. It's all built with options for nearly every budget. And get this. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price. No hidden fees, no surprises. It's quick and simple to switch to Gusto. Just transfer your existing data to get up and running fast. Plus, don't pay a cent until you run your first payroll. Gusto is the #1 payroll software according to G2 and trusted by over 400,000 small businesses. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/SPI and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/SPI. One more time, gusto.com/SPI. So let me ask you something. When did you become the head of everything? You started a business to do the work you love, but now you're doing marketing, customer service, IT, content creation, and honestly, at some point, doing it all becomes the reason nothing actually gets done. I've been there, and here's what I've learned. Smart business leaders know when it's time to bring in reinforcements before they burn out. That's where Upwork Business Plus comes in. Instead of spending weeks sorting through random resumes, Upwork Business Plus sends a curated shortlist of expert talent to your inbox in hours. We're talking about the top 1% of talent on Upwork. Trusted, top-rated freelancers in marketing, design, AI, and more, who've been vetted for skills and reliability and rehired by businesses just like yours. Here's what makes it different. Upwork Business Plus takes the hassle out of hiring by sourcing, vetting, and shortlisting proven experts for you. That way, you are never stuck spinning your wheels when you need a skilled pro, and your projects don't stall. When finding talent you can trust feels impossible, it's easy to default to doing everything yourself. But you don't have to. Upwork Business Plus handpicks the best so you can stop doing it all and delegate with confidence. Visit Upwork.com right now to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. When you say socials, which social platforms would those be, and are any performing better for you than others?
So it started on TikTok. So I had a viral moment on TikTok 4 or 5 years ago, and I got something like, I think it was something like 70 leads in a single day from that one video. And I was like, wow, okay, I need to be doing this more.
Was that a case study?
It wasn't a case study. No, I got a couple of my logos got into a logo design book, and I was kind of bragging about it on TikTok. And I used a stitch to kind of like, it had somebody else's hook, so it worked really well. I've dissected this clip like you wouldn't believe. It had all the characteristics of a great story arc. It had a great hook, bit of setup, bit of conflict, and a kind of a resolution at the end of it. And so, yeah, I started doing trying a bit harder on video, basically at the start, answering questions, posting it to TikTok. And now, maybe 6 months later, I was posting the same content to Instagram, and one of my videos on Instagram took off, and I got 100,000 new followers in 2 weeks. It was insane. One of my videos went crazy viral, and it was all like, I started to get a bit of a pattern with it, like trying to come out with like pillars of content. So education, how do Bezier curves work, software tips, case studies, and then funny, entertaining, like goofy stuff. And so I just post everything everywhere. I post it on TikTok, post it on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and LinkedIn as well now is doing really well. LinkedIn have really started pushing video content lately. Everything's the same. One video goes on to multiple platforms, and and we'll just see which one does the best.
That's really cool. As a bonus, are you making some revenue off the ad platforms on those as well?
Not really. They don't have the creator platform in Australia, which is unfortunate. And I only just got accepted to the YouTube one. It was the criteria for meeting that was something like, is it 10 million shorts views in 90 days?
It's something insane.
So it took a while to get to that. It was quite a lot, but I've got it now. I had a video I told a bit of a story about the HBO logo and how there was a mistake in the logo.
Wait, that was you?
That was me.
Where you drew a line and you're like, it didn't line up perfectly?
That's the one. Yeah.
Bro, I saw that video.
There we go. 9.1 million other people did as well.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. I actually just did an interview for the Daily Mail about that, and there was an article about me in that about that.
So somebody could have that idea and notice something like that, right? Like, oh, the HBO logo, like the B hangs lower than the H, and it's like, why? What was your thought process in how to masterfully make that video?
Okay, so what originally happened, it was somebody else who spotted it, and there were a few videos on TikTok, I think it was, just someone was like getting a piece of paper and holding it up in front of their screen. And I made a video about it and like how mistakes like this can easily happen. So I've actually made like a couple of pieces of content around this. The first one was like, wow, I've downloaded the SVG from the website and measured it in Adobe Illustrator, and there's a mistake in the HBO logo. The B hangs lower than the H. Posted it and did okay, a couple of 100,000 views, something like that. And then loads of comments came in that were like, who cares? It's a tiny little error. It's a tiny little mistake. Why are you making such a big deal of this? So I thought, this is interesting. Like, this is a massive company who've made this huge faux pas. Also, when I made that video, the original designer of the 1975 version of the HBO logo emailed me with an attachment that had his original trace from 1975. They used to do it on paper and then scan it in. And there's no mistake in his original trace.
I was going to say, it probably was aligned back then.
Yes, it was perfect. So I got him on the community, the original designer. We had like an hour-long chat about it. We talked through like, how does this happen? How does a massive company like this make this kind of mistake? And obviously it's been out for ages, copies of logos. Somebody probably traced it into digital and made a bit of a rush job of it. And there was a little error in it. And we talked about this. And so I made this piece of content following up saying, well, actually, some people do care. Check this out. And the original designer got in touch. So it was kind of, I think that video had a bit of like vindication. It was like, those people that called me out, maybe, I'm not the pretentious one, maybe you are. And that one absolutely exploded. It was like, 9 million views across all the channels. It was incredible.
That is so cool. Do you ever, when you're preparing for a video like that, go, why would anybody watch this? Or do you just kind of go for it and kind of see what happens?
I do. I was saying before about I don't really care what people think, but when it comes to like making a piece of content like that, I will try and like at least write it out in a way that I think's entertaining. I'm not very good at kind of talking off the cuff on camera and just recording myself having a chat. There's too many ums and ahs. I'd lose your attention too fast. So I will script something like that out and write it out and see if I can frame this in a way that's A, short enough and B, entertaining enough that I can make this into a piece of content. And if that script works, I'm like, right, let's give this a real red hot shot. And then the rest is kind of like just how well I can edit the video afterwards.
That's so cool. You had mentioned there's a bunch of sort of pillars or buckets of content that you create, educational or entertaining. How do you decide which bucket to pull from and when?
Usually just what I've done too much of lately. I'm trying to mix it up as much as possible. I mean, look, you can find a bit of a format with videos and sometimes they'll do very, very well. But usually what tends to happen is people get bored of that same format if you do it too much. So for a time there, all I would do was do bombshell software trick timed to an absolute banger of a track in some kind of funny way, and they would absolutely kill because there was no language barrier like we were saying before. And then people kind of got a bit bored of that format, so I've started trying to mix it up a little bit. I'm just basically trying to vary it as much as possible, but also for me as well, I'll get bored if I don't change this content up enough. And I want to keep this sustainable. I want to keep doing this. I found like a sustainable amount that I can post each week. And if I do the same thing every time, I'll just kind of get bored of it. So yeah, it's basically about my own joy out of this.
I kind of follow the energy and the energy will come through the video.
That's it. Yeah.
How many times are you posting per week, would you say, and how many hours are you putting into it?
So I have a day job. I run this business from my home studio here. So my time is limited to an extent, but I've discovered that I have to make time in order to do this. It takes me a couple of hours to edit a video, probably from writing the script to filming all of the screen recordings and shooting it and editing it, 2 to 3 hours, something like that. So that's a fair chunk of time for something that I think is like reasonably polished. So maybe 2 to 3 times a week, I'll get a video out there, at least 2. And I have noticed that I don't grow all that much if there's anything less. Like over Christmas break, I took some time off and lost like 1,000 followers because I didn't post hardly anything in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And so, yeah, I found that, I do have to keep this going and keep the content churning out. Otherwise, we'll start to lose followers. It's quite depressing. You've got to keep it going.
All the more reason to find the fun in it and do things that energize you. How many clients are you working with at this very moment, would you say? Or what's optimal for you in terms of leads coming in and getting people to pay you for work, what is a good number that you'd shoot for that?
I usually try and stagger them like 2 weeks apart. So I'll be running about 3 jobs concurrently so that while amends are being considered on one project, I can be starting another one. But 2 weeks is like what I found is like a good amount of time for me to go from like a full discovery call into delivering a first presentation for a client to take a look at. And the whole project, most of the time, usually takes about 4 to 5 weeks. So I can't wait 4 to 5 weeks for each job. I've got to keep each one kind of coming in. Any more than like 3 jobs in one running concurrently gets a bit stressful, especially when I've got to put out social media content. And I also have another job, which is running this designers community, and that takes a fair amount of time as well. So yeah, 3 jobs is kind of a sweet spot, and anything else I'll just kind of waitlist just to keep it going.
When you say like you've had videos that have brought in 70 leads per day, I mean, that sounds like way more than you really need. Do you find that there's mostly a wait list this whole time because of the social media and the videos and the way that they've been doing? Or do you feel like you have to kind of fight for leads to come in?
So the leads have slowed down a bit from the social media. It was explosive when I first started, but it's definitely slowed down. But the level of kind of qualified leads has gone up. Do you know what I mean? Like people are understanding that it takes a certain level. You have to be at kind of like a decent level to work with me. And that's not me being big-headed. That's me, years in the industry, charging what I'm worth. What's great is that now that I have this community of designers and a lot of them are up and coming, leads that I can't work with, A, because of time, or B, because of budget, I can give to them.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens is I've created this lovely jobs board on our community where, guys, there's this project here. This guy needs a designer to work on this project. The project's only a couple of grand, but if you want to go back to this person, you can. And then that client has agreed to receive portfolios and applications from designers. And then as soon as somebody wins it, we kind of turn off the email so someone doesn't kind of get bothered. But it's another little bonus added value thing for the community to have like a little jobs board on there. It's a cool little business model.
Have you thought of expanding into agency work? I mean, are you still working by yourself, or have you thought of ever like having a team of your own of 5, 10 designers that you're managing to handle all the client work?
I have. And again, our friend Josh Hall, always trying to convince me to scale this thing up and like to move into like agency space. For me, it's lifestyle. It's a lifestyle choice to not scale this. I mean, I've been really tempted to, even, yesterday I was looking at office spaces. Just could I scale this thing up, hire a couple of employees and take those smaller leads and just have them work on them and turn this into an agency. But I do like my life. It's very cool. I live in paradise here in the Gold Coast, Australia. I've got 2 young kids who I'm always, when they come home from school, I'm always here. I'm always there to have dinner with them at night and put them to bed. I just changed my hours a little bit and work a little bit later so that I can, speak to people like you across the pond. I don't really feel the need to want to scale this yet. I got to a point in my career before I went freelance where I was sort of managing teams, and the last role I left was like head of digital design for a big newspaper company. To be honest, I didn't really enjoy it. I prefer doing the work. I prefer actually being hands-on and being kind of in the trenches and still doing it. I have an assistant who helps me out with some of the other elements of the business, and she's remote. So it's about me kind of like getting the most enjoyment out of this. And the added bonus of that, obviously, is that because I'm doing this work and I'm still in the trenches and using the software, there's so much content that can come from it. There's loads of kind of like tips and tricks stuff. Whenever a new update in something like Adobe Illustrator comes out, I'm one of the first people to see it because I've got like partnerships with Adobe now. Speaking at conferences around the world for this kind of design thing, having this kind of business allows me to do things like that and to step away from it from time to time, which is, I really love that freedom.
Yeah, that's true. Like, why in the world would you start an agency? That wouldn't make any sense.
I know. I feel like it would add legitimacy a bit. I hang out with a lot of other designers that have agencies, and I kind of, part of me is jealous and part of me is kind of like in relief that I don't have that lifestyle.
While you see them go out in the hallway because they got to manage a team and put out some fires, and you're like, oh, I'm going to the beach now with my family.
That's it. I'm going to go have a nap.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about your community. When did you begin that and why?
Basically, my wife's been telling me to do this for years. And of course, it's doing really, really well now. So she's loving the fact that she was absolutely right.
She's right.
Yeah. So we had a bit of, not like a quiet spell, but, the amount of logo design jobs that were coming in towards the end of the last year wasn't like as huge as it was. I didn't have an enormous wait list. So I had some time on my hands. I thought maybe now's the time to try this. And so, yeah, I spun designers up in about 2 weeks. It was in August last year. Got on Circle, fired it all up, made this whole thing happen. I was worried that I wasn't going to have enough to give. Do you know what I mean? I have a lot of course content. I have a whole course about how to go faster in Adobe Illustrator. But I found that people, they'll pay for a course and half of them won't even complete it. They'll just sit, you can see the analytics on those courses that, 10% of people that have bought the course have actually finished it. It's like, is this really the best way to be doing this? And so basically I just packaged everything up that I'd already done, all those digital products, threw them into the community, added sections around like design reviews. This is a huge part of it, as well as like, I need someone to sense check my work from time to time that isn't my wife. And so it'd be nice to have designers on board that can actually help me do that. And I think, lots of other people will probably need that as well. So we have a whole section in there about design reviews, people showing their client work before it goes to clients, so we can sense check it and make sure that things are legible and they haven't accidentally designed a swastika in their logo, which happens more than you think. And then there's like, we've got sections on like guest interviews, we have competitions and design challenges and all sorts. It's been really great. It's fun for me as well, like actually I work on my own all day. I'm sat here in this office by myself, and so to have a community of people to call upon has been brilliant. So it's pretty selfish reasons really, but it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Well, congrats on that. And it sounds like it's where everybody can win. You can win, people who are in there can win, and everybody's happy. And your wife can always tell you that she was right. So
that's right.
What's the price point of the membership, and how long are people staying in there for?
Okay, so it's pretty new. So we haven't had a lot of churn. We've only had a couple of people leave, actually. It's been fantastic. We've got like 150 members now, something like that. So it's not the cheapest price point, but the value of it is pretty unbelievable. We just partnered up with Adobe Express. So for everybody that comes on board for a yearly subscription, now gets a free year of Adobe CC Pro. So that's great. Wow. Like that's me using my connections at Adobe to kind of make this happen. And all I have to do is say powered by Adobe Express every time I mention the community, which is fine. I'll do that. Yeah, it's been great. So the price point for a yearly subscription is $599 a year, which is not cheap. No. But that's actually cheaper than a year subscription of Adobe CC Pro. So it's actually like kind of like printing money if you come on board. I think the year subscription to Adobe CC is like $800. So you're just saving $200 just by joining the community. Yeah, wow. And hopefully people will stay on afterwards as well.
That's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great deal. I think it's one of the best deals I've negotiated in my entire life. But thankfully I've had like great, having done this social media thing and got my name out there as this designer, I've made some connections in the industry, and I have a lot of friends who are kind of higher up in Adobe and could really help out with that. And, there's been a great partnership. So yeah, it's added real value to the community.
That's so cool. This has been really, really great to hear, especially as we often hear about designers and other types of work getting replaced by AI, that there are little pockets in the community that are thriving because of people like you. So congratulations on that, James. That is incredible, and just keep up the great work. My final question to you here is for everybody who's listening, who's encouraged and inspired by you, who is still at the beginning of their social media and sort of lead generation phase. What advice could you give them as they're putting themselves out there for the first time, trying to tell good stories, trying to hit a viral video to get more clients, but they're not quite there yet? What advice would you give them before we go?
Well, firstly, if you're uncomfortable on camera, write a script. If that's the best piece of advice I could give, is write a script for your content. It's so hard to just like off the cuff talk in front of a camera and be comfortable doing that. It's really nerve-wracking. You make mistakes. You feel silly. Just write a script. Read one line at a time to the camera and then cut those clips together. Easy peasy. You sound nice and succinct, and the video will be tighter for it and more engaging. And then just find a repeatable model that's sustainable for you. Just don't try and overdo it. If it feels like it's too much and you're burning out because of it and it's stopped being fun, then maybe that's not really the route to go. And like I say, my amount of content has been something like 2 or 3 times a week, and that's probably not enough considering you're doing like a 30-day challenge right now, or you've just finished one.
Just finished today, actually, yeah.
Yeah, one a day would be way too much for me considering the level of effort that I have to put into making this content. So yeah, just find something that is sustainable for you, and it'll keep it fun, and you'll be able to do it for longer rather than just kind of burning out straight away and not being able to maintain any kind of presence online.
I love that. James Barnard, thank you so much for being here. Where can people go to check out your work, and what are your socials, or maybe the top one that you want to recommend people check out?
All the socials are at Barnard Co. And my website is barnard.co. And if you want to join the community, it's designers with 3rs.com. And then, you can join me there. And I just want to say, Pat, I was so nervous about doing this podcast because, you teach this kind of stuff. And so I was making sure that my camera was at like eye level here, and I got my microphone set up properly.
You're great, man. This is one of my James Barnard, bar none. This is one of my favorite interviews in a long time.
Oh, good. Dad jokes. Love it.
Yeah.
Also, I was in LA recently for Adobe Max, the creativity conference there, and I was taking an airport transfer on the way home, and I was talking to the driver, and we got onto Pokemon somehow. And I said, "Are you on TikTok?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "All right, I'm not going to say anything. Just do the theme tune in 3, 2, 1, and he goes, should I open it? And I was like, amazing. What a recognition. So yeah, you've got the international acclaim, man. You're in Australia, you're in the UK, you're in England.
That is
you're killing
wild.
it.
That's audio logo design in my world.
There you go. That's called a sonic trigger, isn't it? There you go.
Yeah. James, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. We'll link to everything for all the listeners here. And congrats again. What you're doing is great. And I'm so happy again to hear that people in the design industry are thriving. You just got to kind of get creative with it. So well done, my friend.
Amazing. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Didn't I tell you this was amazing? This is absolutely one of the GOATs. James Barnard, you can check him out again at barnard.co to see how he does it. His website's changing, as he says, but I'm looking at it right now, and it looks great. Love how he's gotten Adobe into his community to just make it a no-brainer, and just everything he revealed. This was one of my favorite interviews. I hope you pull something away from this. And again, check out James online as well and some of his videos, how he's put his personality into things. Very, very important, and especially for a designer to thrive in this world of AI right now. I think this is the most encouraging thing I've heard in a while related to AI. So I love it. James, thank you so much. Thank you for watching and or listening to this. Be sure to hit subscribe because we got more great stuff coming your way. A lot of fun things to reveal for you later this year. And keep up the good work. I'll see you soon. Cheers. So here's the question I want you to think about. How many potential customers have slipped through your fingers because you didn't respond fast enough? You know the scenario. Someone fills out a form on your website. They send you a DM. They might book a call. And if you're not lightning quick with the follow-up, they've already moved on to your competitor. This is exactly why so many entrepreneurs are consolidating their entire backend into High Level. High Level is an all-in-one CRM, marketing, and automation platform that puts everything you need under one roof. Instead of just bouncing between 5 different tools, you can capture and track leads, follow up instantly with email, SMS, or AI, build funnels and landing pages, book appointments, collect payments, and manage all of your conversations all from one dashboard. But here's what really makes the difference. With built-in AI and automation, High Level responds to leads for you, sends reminders automatically, and keeps conversations moving forward even when you're not at your desk, even while you're sleeping. This isn't hype. This is infrastructure. The difference between staying busy and actually scaling usually comes down to having the right systems in place. If you're tired of juggling multiple tools, losing leads to slow follow-up, and want a backend that actually supports your growth instead of slowing you down, go to smartpassiveincome.com/high-level and start your free 30-day trial. That's smartpassiveincome.com/HIGHLEVEL. Stop letting opportunities slip away. Build a system that actually closes.